On the show in Wheelspin, we drive the legendary Porsche 911 as she turns 50. In Face to Face, we meet F1 driver Nico Rosberg. And on the road, we drive the Fiat Linea to Rishikesh and Haridwar. There aren't too many cars on planet Earth which actually get to celebrate their 50th birthday, but the one I have with me sure did. One of my favorites, the Porsche 911. She survived 50 years of use, abuse and sometimes sheer adulation. And with time, she has grown only more beautiful, maybe a bit voluptuous in the rear, but that only adds to her attractiveness. Time to fire the engine and hear the music once again. The 911 is what introduced many drivers to terms like oversteer, power slide and drifting. Conceived at the turn of the 60s decade, she finally saw the light of the day in September 1963 at the Frankfurt Motor Show, where the car was displayed as the 901, successor to the Porsche 356. But just before its launch in 1963, it was renamed the 911. The design was spectacular and radical. The small coupe sported a rear-mounted engine. The flat-six air-cooled unit developed 130 horsepower and was good for top speeds of 130 miles per hour. And it did 0 to 100 in just 9.1 seconds. The car had one thing in common with another extremely popular car which went on to become the largest selling car on planet Earth, the Volkswagen Beetle. Ferdinand Alexander Porsche, the son of Ferry Porsche who designed the Beetle, was the designer of the 911. And the two cars, though generation apart, had uncanny similarities. Both used rear-mounted air-cooled engines. While the Beetle was born as a request from one Adolf Hitler, who wanted to provide cheap transportation to the people of war-torn Germany, the 911 took shape in much better economic and political conditions. It was meant for people who saw their cars as something beyond just ordinary transportation devices. The 911 was born to meet the need for speed. The 911 has always been on an evolution trajectory. Numerous model additions and engine changes later, this is what the car is today. Beautiful, powerful and a dream to own and drive. In its 7th generation, now the latest Carrera 4S is what we drive today. The 911 continues to be rear engine, but with time both the engine and the power has grown. It's a relatively small 3.8 litre flat six with twin turbo, which churns out again a relatively modest 400 horsepower. And for a car with a supercar status, these figures might seem a bit on the lower side. But make no mistake about this being insufficient. The trick is to make the chassis as capable of using the power as much as it is to power the engine. The small compact dimension, the lightweight and an extremely nimble chassis makes this power usable to the last horsepower. And this is what gives the 911 its impressive cornering abilities and rapid acceleration. With time, the 911 has only become bigger, faster and more matured. Gone are those happy swinging days when a wrong press of the pedal would have you facing the wrong way. The modern day 911 is loaded with electronics, and this has made the car more driver-friendly, more composed and certainly more forgiving. But it's still loads of fun, especially when you throw her into a series of corners. The ESP ensures that your mistakes do not always translate into either an embarrassment or a big disaster. But she has still retained her original flavor. From the nose to the boot, she's out and out a driver's car. Push her hard into the corner and she begs for more. The hint of oversteer remains and you have to match up to her in terms of your driving capabilities to balance the power through the corners, and this is what makes the 911 so much fun. In spite of its supercar status, the 911 is one of those cars which can be used on an everyday basis. It's extremely tractable and it has enough power, more than enough power I should say, for highway use. And I would have used it on an everyday basis, but for the stairs, makes me jealous. However, the natural playground for the 911 remains the racetrack. This is what she was born for, to satiate man's quest for speed. And we put the 911 through her paces on the Buddh International Circuit. (5,000 RPM, climbing to 6,000. 7,500 RPM. The speed counter is showing 250 kilometers. 7,500 RPM, redlining, and I am now reached the end of the straight. I have to brake now. I have to brake. This is completely insane. The power comes so linear, it keeps on coming. It doesn't seem to ebb at all. That was the back straight of the Buddh International Circuit, where the F1 cars do about 310 to 320 kilometers. And my guess is that if I had braked as late as the F1 guys do, I would have been beyond the 300 mark. But then, this is a borrowed car. The 911s have always been powered by rear-mounted engines, but over time the engine mountings have been moved a little forward to give the car better weight distribution. And this really translates into better balance through the corners. There is still a hint of oversteer, but that's why I love this car. The 911 is very tractable. You can use it on an everyday basis. The engine has a wide RPM band, and even at 1000 RPM, the car is doing about 100 kilometers and you can cruise easily anywhere. But the moment you want the power, all you have to do is flip the throttle and the car becomes an instant monster. The Sport Plus is absolutely ideal if you're driving on a racetrack like this, and it helps you corner hard, and I mean real hard. As you rev the car, the beautiful music from the exhaust fills the cabin. And it's a waste of money to have a fancy music system like this. This is what I like about mid-engine or rear-engine cars. They sound so fabulous. As this 911 gobbles up one lap after another of this racetrack, I realize what a brilliantly engineered car this is. This is why she has been around for 50 years. A brilliant handler. What makes a car really great is not how fast she can go, but also how fast she can stop. And in this department, the 911 gets 100 out of 100. The brakes are the best in the business. What else could you have expected from a car as fast as this and with a legacy like this? Porsche offers customers the option of individual customization, so no two 911s are exactly the same. From bright red interiors to one with yellow seat belts, you are free to choose what you like. The interiors are of course well appointed, with special focus on increasing ergonomic efficiency as well as creature comforts. Bolstered seats which tightly hug the driver through the corners with the option of lumbar support and height adjustment. Also, the 911 is one of the rare supercar which comes with 2 rear seats, cramped though they might be. Recently in India, Porsche has gone on the expansion mode and it has set up 8 dealerships across the country, making it easy for you to buy and drive your Porsche. The Porsche 911 is one of the true supercars which is all set to carry the legacy forward. No other car has delighted as many drivers of different generations as she has, and one can only hope that the future would be as bright as the past has been. People say money can buy happiness. I say money can buy one of these things. And this is a source of eternal happiness because every time you blip the throttle and hear the music coming out of the twin exhaust, life takes on a different meaning. I hope she turns out to be 100 and more so she can delight many, many petrol heads like me. But now it's time for me to hear some more music. Today I have with me Nico Rosberg, who is here for the Indian GP. Nico, welcome to India. So what are your thoughts on the circuit?
They've done a great job. It's really fun to drive. There's everything, you know, there's hairpins, long straights to overtake, fast corners, very interesting, unique corners. It's good.
Yeah, Monaco is your favorite. You won there last year.
Yes, Monaco is my home. It's where I've grown up. I managed to win there this year, 30 years after my father won there. So it's a very special experience.
Run me through a regular day in the life of Nico Rosberg.
Typical day is being at home in Monaco. You know, get up, go for cycling at 9 o'clock in the morning, then come back, just relax a little bit, go for lunch with my family or with my fiance or something like that, and then afternoon do some work in the office, interviews or some management stuff, and then gym session in the afternoon.
How important is physical fitness?
Physical fitness is very important, yeah.
So what do you do for physical fitness?
I do a lot of training. I like cycling, for example, playing ping pong for reactions, you know.
In today's world of Formula One, is it man versus machine more or is the machine taking over?
It's both, you know. It's going together, everything. Mind, driver, talent, machine, it's everything going together.
So there's so much money going into the sport. It's really become technology oriented.
Well, there's a lot less money now than there was 10 years ago. So, which is a good thing, you know. They've kind of managed to reduce things a bit. But that's also part of the fascination of the sport, you know. All the money involved, the technology, you know. It's absolute state of the art, pushing the boundaries of technology. All the great names, companies, drivers, everything involved, you know, that makes the glamour, that makes it so exciting.
Where do you see Indian motorsports heading? Are you familiar?
Indian motorsports. I hope that Indian motorsports will grow because the best that can happen to Formula One and to all of us is having an Indian F1 superstar, you know. Of course, all the junior categories are not as developed as in Europe, so it's not so easy. Also, the money and everything is a big challenge, you know, because unfortunately it's such an expensive sport, which makes it really difficult. But there's more and more support coming. Even Mercedes, for example, is supporting young drivers. They did a bit of a young driver shootout, you know, to really encourage the sport, and so it's getting there, and who knows.
That was Nico Rosberg sharing his thoughts on the F1. Welcome to Rishikesh. After I left you last week on my way out of Devprayag, I finally managed to land up in Rishikesh, a town steeped in history, religion, mythology, and of course a place of great natural beauty. The river Ganga flows right through the town and it is one of the most scenic places here in Uttarakhand. Today I will spend time in Rishikesh and then drive down to Haridwar before finally making my way back to Delhi. The river Ganga, which started its life about 70 kilometers upstream in Devprayag, continues to flow through Rishikesh in all its glory, and the town is divided into two as the Ganga flows between the two banks. Rishikesh is well known as pilgrimage destination and is dotted with ashrams and temples, some dating back a few centuries, while some are recent structures. The world-famous meditation guru of yesteryears, Mahesh Yogi, had his ashram here too, and his famous visitors, the Beatles, also spent time, except for one member, Ringo Starr, who along with his wife found the vegetarian food a bit too much to live with and soon left. If San Francisco has the Golden Gate Bridge as its most famous landmark, then you have this Lakshman Jhula in Rishikesh as the most identifiable place. This is actually a bridge meant for pedestrians or non-motorized vehicles, but maybe I am wrong. This is the place from where Lord Lakshman is supposed to have crossed over to the other side on a bridge made of jute. But then came a proper suspension bridge and finally this new bridge. Cross over to the other side and you will see temples and places of worship. Rishikesh remains a beautiful place, quiet and serene, and the majestic river Ganga flows right through it, breathing life into it. Chances are, even if you are not religiously inclined, you will still find peace here. The Ganga is also a source of fun and adventure, and for all those interested in some sporting action, it is time to put on your wetsuit and jump into a raft. Whitewater rafting and kayaking is a sport which pretty much originated here for all those living in northern India. And today there are various camps and resorts which conduct river rafting. Typically, it starts upstream in a place called Shivpuri and the trip culminates here in Rishikesh. Rishikesh has been just beautiful, but I have to get going now and my next stopover is going to be Haridwar, a short distance away. Rishikesh to Haridwar is only a distance of 26 kilometers. Haridwar is a city and municipality in the Haridwar district of Uttarakhand. The river Ganga, after flowing for 253 kilometers from its source at Gomukh at the edge of Gangotri Glacier, enters the Indo-Gangetic plains of North India for the first time at Haridwar, which gave the city its ancient name, Gangadwar. Haridwar is among one of the 7 holiest places in India. According to Samudra Manthan, Haridwar along with Ujjain, Nasik and Prayag is one of the 4 sites where drops of Amrit, the elixir of immortality, accidentally spilled over from the pitcher while being carried by the celestial bird Garuda, and is one of the 4 places where the Kumbh Mela is held every 12 years. Haridwar is dotted with temples and places of worship, and some of the most important ones are Mansa Devi and Chandi Devi. And for thousands of visitors who pay their homage on an everyday basis, now there is a cable car which makes a visit much more easier. For tourists like me, the cable car also provides a panoramic view of Haridwar. The most identifiable place here in Haridwar is this clock tower here in Har Ki Pauri, right next to the bathing ghats. Millions of people come here, and in my years of travel to Haridwar, I have never seen this place empty. People come here in the belief that they will be able to wash away their sins. This sacred ghat was constructed by King Vikramaditya in memory of his brother Bharathari. It is believed that Bharathari came to Haridwar to meditate on the banks of the holy river Ganga. When he died, his brother constructed the ghat in his name, which later came to be known as Har Ki Pauri. The most sacred ghat within Har Ki Pauri is Brahmakund. The evening prayer or arti at dusk offered to goddess Ganga at Har Ki Pauri is an enchanting experience for any visitor. A spectacle of sound and color is seen when, after the ceremony, pilgrims float diyas and incense on the river in memory of their deceased ancestors. Thousands of people from all around the world make it a point to attend this prayer on their visit to Haridwar. Haridwar too is a place of temples and worship and figures on the itinerary of any serious religious traveler. But believe it or not, this is one of the places which fills you with happiness and bliss, especially if you sit in the evening by the Ganga and watch the diyas float by after the evening aarti. Well, we had a wonderful trip driving through this part of Uttarakhand, which was just a few months back devastated, but now I see it slowly limping back to normal. See you on the show next week as we travel to another destination.